Well, let's dive straight into that story now with our Foreign Affairs editor, Philip Turle. Philip, when Joe Biden speaks, do you think he's going to try to reach out to the French on this issue?
Well, I think that there's going to be some kind of statement about this from the US president. I mean, all eyes are on the US as far as France is concerned, and I think the European Union in general, wanting some kind of explanation about why nothing was said about this before this deal withdrawal of this deal from France was announced, much to the surprise of everybody at the weekend. So a lot of anger here in France still, and I think a lot of diplomats in France, French ministers, even President Emmanuel Macron himself, waiting for some kind of explanation about what is going on and why this decision was made without the French being contacted beforehand. But it's a very fine balancing act for Joe Biden because he's got a lot of things to talk about. He has to talk about his relationship in the indo-pacific region. That is one of the causes of this contract being given to the United States by Australia. But also he has to explain his decision to withdraw from Afghanistan. And I think he'll probably put forward what the US is doing to fight the COVID pandemic around the world, and also climate change and the fact that the US is back on the diplomatic front after 4 years of Donald Trump in the White House. So it's a lot to pack into a very small speech. But I think there will be scrutiny going on right the way through it to find out whether he's going to say anything about this decision to take on the submarine deal.
Yeah, and you talk about this being a difficult balancing act today for Joe Biden. I imagine it's going to be a difficult balancing act as well for the Australian leader, Scott Morrison. He's there in New York. Busy time for him, and he's under a lot of pressure as well from France, isn't he?
Well, he is going to have a lot of meetings this week, and I think the most difficult meeting for him will be with the Austrian Chancellor, the Swedish Prime Minister, and the EU Commission head, Ursula von der Leyen. If you've seen what's coming out of the European Union within the past 24 hours, this unanimous backing for France, and I think he's going to spend a few difficult minutes with those three. It all depends, Nadia, on what the European Union's future decision on this is going to be. Now, the EU is treating this as if one member of the EU is attacked, then the whole of the EU is attacked. France has been done out of that trade deal, which has been negotiated for years. It's been given to the United States. Therefore, there is a unanimous EU condemnation of that. I think when push comes to shove, it will be interesting to see whether or not the EU remains defiant against France when it comes to signing trade and economic act with Australia, which is under negotiation at the moment. There have been 11 rounds of negotiation talks on that. The Australians were hoping to sign it by the end of this year. France wants to undermine that deal now. Will the rest of the European Union follow suit with it? That is something I think that will be interesting to look at. There is a lot of, I think, anger in the European Union about what is going on. And one person conspicuous by his absence at this UN General Assembly is the President of France, Emmanuel Macron, who will not be there in person. I think there is a feeling that it's up to Emmanuel Macron to decide when he wants to talk to Joe Biden, if he's going to pick the phone up to call up the US president. A lot of anger in France about the fact the US president didn't call the French president at all before the announcement of this trade deal not being renewed with France. A big blow to France with the amount of money they're losing, $60 billion. So bad news for French industry. And I think bad news also for the European Union and the way the European Union itself is perceived by the United States.
Philip Turle, thank you very much indeed for your analysis, and we'll have much more for you from the United Nations when that General Assembly meeting gets underway, that in about half an hour.